Hello world, Shelly here, and I've got another update on my weight loss progress. This is my second video about this topic. The first was 4 months ago. I have been taking semaglutide, the compounded version, now for 8 months, and this is my update. So if you missed my first video, that is where I went into detail on my weight loss ups and downs in the 49 years I've been on this planet. I am 49 years old. I turned 50 in a couple of months. And so I went through that, what I have tried in the past, what has worked for me, what hasn't worked, why I take semaglutide now, why I don't have a prescription for Wegovy. My insurance won't cover it. I'm not sick enough for my insurance to cover it, and I cannot afford the formulary version of it. I go into detail on the previous video if you want all of that kind of backstory information. But today I will give you an update on what has happened in the last 4 months, overall what my progress has been, and all of that good stuff. Now, I do see my doctor in a couple of weeks for my first set of like full labs and everything since I've started the semaglutide, so I will probably have an update sooner rather than later if there's anything interesting to share from my blood work or anything like that. But basically, I started this just after Christmas of this past year, so like a little after Christmas, December 2023. It is now August 2024. And I started at 274 pounds, which was the heaviest I've ever been in my life by 8 pounds. I had previously, 266 had been my sort of top end, and I would hit that point and then I'd be like, oh no, and then I'd work really hard to lower it. And this time around I couldn't. I spent a year trying to get below that number again, and instead I just kept gaining, and that's when I finally talked to my doctor about semaglutide, and when I learned that I could not get it through my insurance and cannot afford it. Now, I'm going to put straight away, this is not medical advice. My experience may not relate to your experience or your medical conditions or health at all. You really need to talk to your doctor about this if you are interested in this, or if you are having trouble with your medication. I cannot advise you on what to do if something's not working for you the way it's working for me, or if you're having any kind of other difficulties, or if you want to know if you should go on it or not. You need to ask your doctor those questions. I cannot provide that kind of information. I am not a doctor. This is just my experience. This is not medical advice in any way, shape, or form. The only advice is that you talk to your doctor if this is something you are either interested in or you are experiencing and you need more guidance. I would also recommend checking out what the FDA has had to say about compounded semaglutide, because there are companies selling, you may have even seen articles in the news, fake Ozempic and things like that. Not all of the companies that are selling what they're claiming is semaglutide are using actual semaglutide, and the FDA has warned about this. If you can't get indication from your compounding pharmacy as to the actual ingredients in the vials that you're receiving, I'm in the injectable version, if they contain semaglutide salts, they are not the same semaglutide that is in Wegovy and Ozempic and those drugs that have been through the FDA testing processes. So you just have to be careful. There's a lot of people slinging this drug on the internet now, and just be careful. I will link the FDA warning below, and just be careful. That is advice. Be careful. Don't just buy from anybody. So anyhow, let's talk about where I'm at now. So I started at 274 back in December. I just took my week 32 dose. I'm currently at what will be my max dose. It's 100 milliliters of milliliters, not milliliters, 100 cc's of the 2.5 grams per milliliter of semaglutide. So I'm on 2.5 grams. That's Some people count it by the cc's, some people count it by the grams, like depending how your prescription is written. I'm on 2.5 grams per week right now. I do the injection once per week, self-injection. And this morning I was at 230 pounds. So I have lost 44 pounds, 34, 56, yeah, 44 pounds so far. Oh, I meant to do the math. Let me pull my calculator up, because 44 pounds is, I've lost 16% of my body weight so far. And so the things I want to talk about today, the side effects that I have encountered since my last video, because I wasn't at the max dosage yet. I was close to it. I was one before it in my last video. So I have gained some new side effects. I want to talk about the topic of muscle loss and what my experience has been with that so far. And I'll give you guys an update on diet and exercise, what I'm doing at this current time. And I did, for 1 week, decrease my dose. I'll tell you that whole story and tell you what happened and how that affected me. So let's start with side effects that are new since 4 months ago. I was very happy that at the 4-month mark, I had yet to experience really any of the side effects. I have very minor nausea, which I really don't even have anymore. I had it the first couple months, but that pretty much went away, and I had been warned by my provider that constipation is a very common issue, and I hadn't had that problem, so I eat vegetarian, and I do typically eat a good amount of plant material, vegetables, fruits, mostly vegetables. And so I hadn't been having any issues, but since I graduated to the max dose, yeah, I gotta eat my veggies every single day, and if I don't, I get constipated. So that has become a side effect. I haven't had to do anything else except make sure I'm, like, for me, if I have a big salad, like a big bowl of greens once in the day, and then have a vegetable as a side for another meal, that's usually enough for me to keep everything moving. But you know, it's here, it's a thing. It's if I eat garbage for a couple days, then I feel it. I will feel it. So, but that's the only other side effect that I've had. The food noise is still completely gone. I could do a whole video on the night and day of it, but we're going to talk a little bit more about the food noise in my head, on what happened when I decreased my dose. But let's talk about muscle loss real quick. So muscle loss is a concern anytime you lose weight. It's particularly when you're losing weight quickly. Now, I'm not losing weight very fast. Let me get my calculator again. So I've lost 44 pounds in 32 weeks. I'm losing 1.37 pounds per week on average. It was like 1 3/4 pounds in the earlier, so like it's slowed a little bit, which that tracks with all of my previous weight loss experiences in my life. I've lost 100 pounds 3 times and gained it back, obviously. So I have a lot of experience with losing weight. But so muscle loss, if you're not combating it both by nutrition and making sure you're eating enough protein and doing enough strength-related exercises, muscle loss is a concern. And I'm incredibly happy to report that even though I have not yet fully gotten to where I want to be as far as exercise goes, I'm very good about getting my protein, which I have always had to be. I've been vegetarian since 2003, so that's been top of mind for decades now. But so when I started, so I have a scale that measures muscle, and I know that that is not the most accurate way to do it, but it's how I ballpark it, and I have years of data on my body with that scale. So when I had started this whole process, I was around 110 pounds of muscle mass. So pulling out the old calculator, if I was 110 pounds of my 274, I was about 40% muscle. That is obviously way low for a woman of my height and age, but I'm not fit, obviously. So now my scale registers about 108 pounds of muscle, which yes, that appears that I have lost a couple of pounds of muscle, but relative to my body weight, I'm very pleased, because if you do the math, oh, hold on. I can't remember my numbers. What am I saying? 108 divided by 230. So I am now 47% muscle. So my percentage, I'm getting closer. I'm still way behind, but I'm getting closer to an optimal percentage for somebody of, you know, biologically female, my age, my height, proportions, etc. I would like to improve that, because I'm not currently doing any dedicated workouts. I am far more physically active than I was, primarily because it's easier when you're 44 pounds lighter than you were to be more physically active. But primarily what I've been doing so far is walking. So I would like to get into some strength training. I know I said that 4 months ago, and I really thought I would do more this summer than I have. But it's still on my list of things to do. And yeah, so muscle loss is something to be conscious of. And I am conscious of it. And I'm pleased with as much as I've been able to maintain thus far in the past 8 months. This wasn't on my notes of things to talk about, but it came to my mind, so I'm going to talk about it because it's similar. People talk about Ozempic face. Oh, you're going to get Ozempic face where you have loose skin and droopiness, and that's not caused by the drug. That's caused by weight loss. No matter how you lose weight, especially if you're losing, like I have 100 pounds to lose, especially if you're losing a lot of weight, you are going to have excess skin. It doesn't matter if you used semaglutide or Ozempic or Wegovy or another, Mounjaro. It doesn't matter if you use no drugs at all. It's when you lose weight, especially the faster you lose it, you're gonna get Ozempic face. It has a name now. They call it Ozempic face. Yeah. Like I can already tell I've got loose skin down here. Like there's more of this now is skin than fat, and it used to just be fat. It is what it is. Like, yay, I have Ozempic face. I'll be glad to have Ozempic face, because you know what that means? It means I lost the weight and I'm in a much healthier position than I was before. But yeah, it's a thing. But it's not caused by the drug. It's not semaglutide. Also, before I get called out for saying it wrong, my doctor actually says it this way. I've heard a bunch of different ways to say the word, and I'm just going to say it the way my doctor says it. So yes, I do still occasionally enjoy it. Diet sodas, I have cut way back on my Mountain Dew and Dr. Pepper Zero habit. Way back. Like, I was going through 2 12-packs a week. And I'm probably 2 cans a day now. Yeah. But 50%, I'm still working on it, though. Circle water has been one of my things, and Dram. If you like carbonated beverages, it's carbonated botanical waters, and they're really good, and they're not sweetened, and they're delicious, and they're expensive. But if you like carbonated things, there you go. Not sponsored. They don't even know who I am, except that I bought their product. I actually heard about it through Kevin Rose. So if any of you are total computer nerds and you watched the Dignation reunions with Alex Albrecht and Kevin Rose, that was one of my favorite times of my life, when like started with the screensavers and then Tech TV and then Dignation. Anyway, where's my nerds? Come on, nerds, shout yourselves out. But Kevin Rose recommended Dram, and I like it. It's really good, but I don't think I can replace my soda habit with it, because it's just too expensive for me to do that. Anyway, tangent squirrel. All right, what's last thing on my notes here? What happened when I decreased my dose? So let me tell you a story. So I get my semaglutide through a medical spa. You know, they're usually the places that do like Botox and aesthetic services and things like that. And I get mine through Studio R Aesthetics in Charlottesville, Virginia. They only treat patients in Virginia. This is not sponsored. I don't get discounts for saying their name. Dr. Eitri at Studio R is fantastic. I trust him. I've had an increase. He's an actual medical doctor, and I've had incredibly good experiences with their office, his services, his advice, everything. So I highly recommend them, but that's only valid if you live in Virginia. They do not treat outside of the state of Virginia. So when you get your semaglutide through like a med spa like that, basically I pay, they have a different prices based on the quantity that you're getting. And so I order the max quantity that I can get at one time, which is 15 milliliters. And it's $131 per milliliter. So it's like $2,000 every time I need to get my 15-week supply. I can barely afford it. Actually, to say I can afford it is a lie, because a lot of it's on credit cards. But working hard at the side businesses to be able to lose this weight. Because if you watch my first video, I am not going back to my old brain. I am not going back. This drug is so good for my brain. I clearly have issues with the reward center of my brain, because the primary benefit for me and semaglutide is that it turns off that obsessive need for more food, even if I know I'm not hungry, even if I feel actively full, even if I consciously don't want to eat. Like, it turns all of that off. I don't think about food unless I'm actually hungry. Ooh, that reminded me of the last thing I wanted to talk about. Hopefully I won't forget about it and when we finish this story. So I pay my $131 per milliliter. I get 15 milliliters at a time. My vials, a few weeks ago, about a month ago, my vials, when I got to what was supposed to be my last dose, I had enough left for another half dose. Like, I had 50 cc's left in the vial. And so to buy myself another week of not having to pay, I used that 50 cc's that week instead of my 100 cc dose that I was supposed to take. So I took a half dose. And I did not clear this with my provider. Don't do that. Call your doctor. Make sure anything you're going to change up with your drugs, talk to your doctor. I didn't. So I was basically experimenting, because in theory, what they say is when you stop taking this drug, you go back to the way you were. Like, your brain goes back to the way it was. And so jumping from my 100 cc dose to my 50 cc dose, most of that week I was fine. So I take my shot on a Friday, and I made it all the way through to like the Thursday, the day before I was supposed to take my next shot. And that Thursday, my old brain just came flooding back. I could not stop thinking about food and eating. As soon as I realized it was happening, I almost burst into tears, because it was so disorienting and so distracting and so loud, and I couldn't think straight. I couldn't get work done. I was just, it was almost terrifying, because it was like, oh my gosh, like everything I said in my first video about the food noise being just the most overwhelming thing, that you don't even realize how bad it is until it's gone. Now I had the experience of realizing just how bad it was, because it came back. And I was almost panicked because I couldn't make it stop. And I didn't eat everything, but it took so much mental and emotional energy not to, that I just wanted to cry for myself, that all these decades of living like that every single day, it blew my mind. It really did. So then that Friday, I took my full dose again, because in that week I'd gone and gotten my refill, gotten my I had my fresh doses ready to go. So I took the shot that Friday, and it did take 2 more days before it kind of got into my system. So the third day after I had taken my dose, I had basically gone 4 days on the lower dose, essentially, at least until it kicked in. It was horrible. It was absolutely awful. And in my first video, I mentioned that I'm assuming I'm going to be the person that once I reach my goal weight, I will do the process of stepping back and then find whatever level keeps the noise quiet but isn't the full dose and stay on a maintenance dose. I don't want my old brain back. And that experience, just those few days, proved to me that I don't want my old brain back. My brain works a lot better on this drug than it does off this drug. I have more mental clarity, I have more mental energy, and I think that's just because I don't have all the food noise and just constantly ringing around in my head. So yeah, that was an absolutely horrible experience, and I don't ever want to be off this drug ever. I mean, unless my brain would fix itself, and that doesn't happen. You go off the drug, and your brain goes back to the way it was. So I knew I should have taken a note of what the other thing was that I wanted to talk about, because I think I forgot it. Hold on, let's see if I can remember. I remember. I wanted to talk about just how hard it has been to trust the signals from my body. Because when you have this problem of food noise, when your brain is telling you to eat when you're not hungry, or to eat more than you know that you even want, you start to you have a hard time trusting those cues, because you have to ignore them so much. You know, your brain is telling you eat, and you have to keep telling your brain no, 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 no. And so now the cues that I'm getting that tell me to eat are actually proper cues that my body is telling me it needs some form of nutrition or some form of food. And I'm so used to not believing them or ignoring those cues or thinking they're not real that it has been a struggle. Because the one thing that I do have trouble with on semaglutide, and it's not a lot of trouble now that I've kind of figured out how my body works with it, but is not eating enough. Because sometimes I just have no appetite for food and my body doesn't tell me it wants food. But then when it does tell me it wants food, like there are days, so I kind of know what my baseline is for how much I'm eating. And I'm not counting calories this time. I have so much data over the decades of me gaining and losing weight that I decided I'm not going to obsessively count anything. I am going to learn how to do this just as a regular intuitive eating person, which intuitive eating never worked for me before because my brain was lying to me about whether it wanted and needed food or not. But now that my brain is not lying to me anymore, I have to listen to it. And so, and if you want numbers, I know people keep asking for the numbers. I'll give you ballpark numbers, but this varies every day. And that's kind of the other interesting thing about it is the amount of food I need every day does kind of go up and down depending on the energy and my activity levels. And so it isn't static every single day. But I'd say on a low day, I'm eating like 1,200 calories when I have like no appetite whatsoever. And on a higher day, when I'm active and I do have a lot of appetite, I'm eating 1,800 calories. Granted, I'm a big person, so if you look at my basal metabolic rate, I'm still over 200 pounds. So I have a higher calorie need per day. But And semaglutide is no different in the sense that the reason I'm losing weight is because I am consuming fewer calories than I'm burning. So it's the same weight loss principles. It's the drug is affecting how my brain works. The drug isn't taking the weight off of me, if that makes sense. So anywhere. So I'm anywhere from say 1,200 to 1,800 calories in a range on a regular day. But having a day where my body's telling me that I'm hungry, like now, if I ignore that for a few days, I will end up on a massive plateau for the next week and a half because I'm too low, I'm not eating enough, I'm in starvation mode, I'm not feeding my body enough. And so I've had to learn that, hey, if your body says you're hungry, you're actually hungry. Like, you actually need more calories. You need more nutrition. Sometimes you're hungry for certain nutrients. Sometimes you're hungry for actual just fill your stomach. Like, but to learn to trust that those cues are accurate, I'm trying to do that now. It's been a struggle because for decades I've had to ignore that and force myself to not listen when my body said I was hungry, because most of the time it was lying. So that's been a challenge. And the challenge to make sure that I'm not under eating is probably the most consistent challenge of this. Because there are days when, not that I don't eat, but I'll have a small breakfast and a small lunch and a small dinner because I'm just not really hungry. And then I'll be like, gosh, I think I only ate like 1,000 calories today. Like, and that's not good. So it's been an interesting thing to learn to listen to my body again and to trust that it's not leading me astray, that it's not just obsessively telling me to do things that are not good for me. And so that's been interesting. It's been interesting. Have you experienced that? I know a lot of you watching this are on one of these weight loss drugs, either GLP-1 drug or a different kind. It's been interesting. It's kind of fascinating, kind of wild. The human brain is a pretty amazing thing, and a pretty wild thing when it's not working right, and a pretty wild thing when it is working right. Because I still to this day have thoughts of like, gosh, this is what it's like to have a brain that works right. Like, wow, what a world to live in. I love it. I am absolutely, I don't want to say that semaglutide is magic, because there is still work to it. I still have to eat nutritious food. I still have to move my body. I still have to take care of myself. But the food noise being gone is just, I cannot over express how amazing of a change that has been in my life. I can't exaggerate it. It's impossible to exaggerate, because it is the most profound difference that anything that I've experienced in my life has ever made. It's and that's just my experience with it. I know that I'm very lucky that this drug works well for me without a lot of side effects. I know a lot of people can't take it due to side effects. I just haven't experienced many of them, and what I have experienced has been mild. I'm so thankful for that, and I hope it continues to work for me. I don't know if that will be true. I have read some things that once you get past losing 10% of your body weight, it's less effective. I'm at 16% loss now, and it hasn't been any less effective for me, because the effectiveness is all what it's doing up here. And honestly, that's all I need. Like, if it keeps doing this, I'm golden. I will lose the rest of this weight. I'm almost halfway there. I figure, so I didn't come up with a number with my doctor. We're in a wait and see phase. I'm going to talk to my general practitioner in the next few weeks when I go back for my full workup, to see, where's my kind of target end goal. I'm assuming, so in the other times that I've lost 100 pounds, my soft goal right now is like 175. That still puts me on the heavier end of normal as far as all the charts go. But the last time that I lost 100 pounds, which was about 15 years ago, my doctor at that time back in Chicago was, he had said, don't look at the charts for your bone structure and your height. I had at that time got down to 165 because 266 was like my normal max weight. And he had said 165 is where I should stop, where the charts usually put me at like 145. I can't even imagine weighing, like, I don't even think I weighed that in grammar school. Like I, I don't, that's so low for me. I know, I think going into high school, I was like 136, if I remember correctly. Because I've been obsessed with being overweight my whole life anyway. And that was a size 8. Like the smallest I've been as a almost adult was size 8. Adult life, I was like 12 and up, size 12 and up. So if I could get back, like I'd really just like to be in a size 14. I'd be really happy with that. So when I started this, I was in a tight 20 going on 22. 18 is like my preferred size. Most of my closet's a size 18 because when I weigh 266, 18 is tight on me, but I can still squeeze into it. Normally, if I can keep myself in, 240 to 250, and 18 fits really well. So right now at 230, my 18s, I have to wear a belt, but I'm not quite into a 16 yet. I have one pair of Judy Blues in size 16, and I can wear them, but they're snug. But they're so cute. They're like flare bottom dad jeans that have that cell phone pocket that's like at the back of your waist. They're the cutest jeans ever. But I can't quite squeeze into them comfortably yet. So I'm like in between the 16 and the 18 right now. If I get down to 175, maybe I'd be at 12. I don't know. But I don't really anticipate going any lower than that. I don't think my body shape and size at this age will get that far down or maintain it. And I'm not doing this for vanity purposes. I don't care what size jeans I wear because honestly, I'm happy right now as long as I'm healthy. And here's why I started this in the first place. I know that I'm gambling by carrying all this extra weight the older I get. And the fact that I don't have any of the health conditions that the insurance requires to cover one of these drugs for me is not a bad thing because I don't want to get any of those conditions. I don't want heart disease. I don't want diabetes. I don't want to get to that point. And I knew as every year passed that I'm just gambling that it's not going to happen to me because I'm carrying way too much extra weight. That is why I'm doing this. That is why I'm losing weight. That is why I went on this drug because I could not get weight loss to work for me anymore. And it's helping me. It's helping me not just tremendous. It's helping me more. It helps me more than I could have ever imagined. And I'm thankful for that. And the goal is to be healthy and to stay healthy because I don't have high blood pressure. I don't have heart disease. I don't have diabetes. I'm going to knock on wood as I say these things because it could happen and I don't want it to. So, yeah, the size of my clothes really isn't the motivating factor here because this is going to sound weird, but I'm almost more comfortable being overweight because in the few times that I have lost 100 pounds and become a thinner person or a normal-sized person, whatever that means, I feel I've got documented instances of people treating me differently because of my size, but regarding things that have nothing to do with my size. I'm a teacher, so my work doesn't matter what size I am. Like, it's my brain and my mouth that I use at work. You know what I'm saying? So I don't like the kind of attention I get when I'm thinner. I'd rather be invisible. And when you're larger, you might understand what I'm saying here if you've been overweight. When you're larger, you're often invisible. And now I'm almost like, this is so backwards from what most people want, but the holy grail of like being ignored because I'm older and being ignored because I'm larger is kind of like, so I'm hoping now that even though I'm shrinking, that the fact that I'm getting older, I'll stay invisible. I don't like attention drawn to me. I don't want attention for the wrong reasons. I want to be respected for what good I do in the world. I don't want attention for what I look like. You know? Like, I don't know. I know that makes no sense to a lot of people, but that's how I feel about all of it. And I'm still too big to be getting attention for my physical body being, smaller. So it hasn't happened yet, but I know that in the past it has gotten very obvious, and I don't like that. So hopefully I'll just I know I'm going to keep getting older. So hopefully the getting older part will keep me out of the limelight for reasons based on my appearance. Even though you would think, I got tattoos and everything. Like, I know that draws a certain kind of attention, whatever. It's not the same, though. It's just not the same. So there you have it. There's a much longer update than I'm intended to film, with a lot more yapping than I intended to do. But thank you for sticking around to the end. If you're still here, excuse me. I need my water. I need a glass of water. Don't worry, I'm gonna go water, because this is the last can of soda for the day. It's my first and my last of the day. That's my caffeine source, though. I don't like coffee. I know. Who am I? Like, what kind of weirdo am I? I drink tea. I like tea. But it's summer, so I don't like hot tea, but I don't like iced tea. So anyway, there you have it. There's my weight loss update, 8 months in. Like I said, I'll probably do an update sooner than 4 more months, because between now and the next couple weeks I've got my doctor's appointment. I'm not expecting anything interesting, really. I don't have blood work that's interesting anyway, so I don't expect to find anything new. But I haven't been for a full blood workup since before lockdown, because I stopped going out in public into doctor's offices and things to not get sick. So, we'll see. If there's anything interesting to update, then I will give you an update sooner rather than later. If not, then you can just assume that I am trucking along. And, let me know. How's this experience for you? I'd love for you to share your experiences as far as any of this, side effects, how your brain feels, anything like that. Talk to your doctor if this is something that you think could help you, or if you are currently experiencing anything good or bad in terms of using these kinds of medications. Talk to your doctor with any concerns. And as always, thanks a lot for taking some time out of your day to geek out over weight loss with me this time. Normally it's makeup. Today it's weight loss. I appreciate your time, and I hope you guys all have an awesome day or night wherever you are in the world. Take care of each other. Bye-bye.